Hello everyone, my name is Tom, and today we are once again going to revisit She-Ra and the Princesses of Power and where the story has gone so far. So everything began long ago with the She-Ra before Adora named Mara. Originally, it is said that she couldn't handle the power of She-Ra and was driven mad to use her power to relocate the planet of Etheria, isolated in an empty dimension away from all of her life because she was a failure, and that was how she was coping, supposedly, allegedly. Then about 1,000 years later, Hordak was stranded on Etheria after being rejected by his brother and leader, Hordak Prime, who Hordak is a clone of, stranded with the goal of building an empire to conquer Etheria and open a portal to bring the Prime army to Etheria and take over the planet entirely. Around this time, Shadow Weaver, a sorcerer formerly known as Light Spinner, was exiled from her sanctum because of her desire for power and was like, yo evil, let's link up. So she became Hordak's second in command. Then, while in the process of trying to perfect the technology to bring Horde Prime to Etheria, Hordak opened a test portal and baby Adora came out from a completely different place. At first, Hordak was like, bro, what am I supposed to do with a baby? But Shadow Weaver was like, babies can be brainwashed into adults who support imperialist regimes with their lives. So that's what they did, raising her at their compound called the Fright Zone. Adora was raised in the Horde as a child soldier and a prodigy one at that. During this time, she develops a very close relationship with another child soldier, Catra. So they grow up and they are both simultaneously very talented and promising soldiers, but also traumatized by Shadow Weaver's low-key abusive parenting style. But because Catra is very rebellious and Adora is very disciplined, Adora ends up getting promoted to Force Captain before Catra ever even hopes to see combat, leaving Catra depressed. Because Adora loves Catra and wants to cheer her up, they go on a joyride into Whispering Woods where Adora has a vision of a sword and later sneaks back on her own to try and find it. On this mission, Adora finds the sword and discovers that she can use it to turn into a tall buff warrior princess, but also encounters Glimmer and Bow. Glimmer is a princess and Bow is her best friend. He uses a bow and arrow, and the Horde and the princesses are sworn enemies, so there is conflict. They capture Adora, but they're really bad at it, so it just kind of turns into Adora chilling with them out of curiosity over her new destiny, and also because she's been sheltered from the outside world her entire life, and hearing an outside perspective is making her reconsider her loyalty. So then, Adora leaves the Horde, and Catra is in her feels because her girlfriend left her in this really toxic environment that she was under the impression that they were going to take on together and be okay, but she got Adora's rank, so now she can cope with that betrayal with a rise to power. That definitely won't turn out to be self-destructive long term. Now let's talk about Bow and Glimmer for a second. Bow is an archer and son of two historians, who think that their son is off at the academy learning to be a historian as well, and not fighting in a war that they morally object to, leading to a point in the story where Bow had to come out to his gay dads as a soldier. So sad. Glimmer is the daughter of Micah, the late sorcerer trained by Shadow Weaver, and Queen Angela, who is the ruler of Brightmoon, who is a bit of a pacifist when it comes to the Horde, at least compared to Glimmer, who is out here trying to throw hands and enacting direct action against the Horde. And one of the primary plans in doing this is to reconstruct an alliance with the other princesses of Etheria. Season 1 mainly focuses on this process, recruiting Perfuma, who can control plants, Mermissa, who is the equivalent of a waterbender and has a vaguely intimate relationship with a flamboyantly macho sailor named Seahawk, and Entrapta, who is a tech expert, which then leads up to Princess Prom, where they try to recruit Frosta of the Kingdom of Snows, where the prom is being hosted. But there is one more key princess in Scorpia, who they don't try to recruit because she's a part of the Horde. She is a very kind and good-natured person, but because she doesn't fit in with the other princesses, and the Horde welcomed her with open arms, she ended up aligning with the antagonists. However, she's still invited to Princess Prom and brings Catra as a +1 to ruin Adora's life, both through jerking her heart around and by kidnapping her new best friends. This unites the Princess Alliance in their first big mission to save Bow and Glimmer. During this mission, a few key events take place. Adora is captured for Shadow Weaver to wipe her memory, and Catra is told she'll be demoted after everything she accomplished on behalf of the Horde. Glimmer refused to let Adora get her memory wiped and forcibly teleported through Shadow Weaver's magic, which massively screwed up her powers. Entrapta died, and Catra helped Adora escape as She-Ra out of resentment towards Shadow Weaver. The results of the events are that Entrapta did not die, but because the princesses thought she did, she was left behind for Catra to manipulate into helping the Horde, which she does partly because she feels betrayed, but mostly because she doesn't really have a moral compass and just loves technology, and the Horde provides the resources for her to fully immerse herself in making things, especially with First One's technology. The First Ones are a vague group of people referred to as the original people of Etheria. Supposedly, Adora and Mara are both First Ones, which is part of why they're able to become She-Ra. And their people were known to create technology infused with magical properties. That's the best way to describe the concept of First One's tech in layman's terms. Pretty much everything to do with She-Ra is First One's tech, like her sword, the beacons, Mara's old ship. It's all in that same category, which is relevant to this whole situation with Glimmer's powers freaking out because Adora seeks out the She-Ra shrine where Light Hope is, who's basically like Siri for She-Ra. That way Adora can learn how to better use her powers and hopefully heal Glimmer. And at the same time, Catra goes to the same shrine to retrieve First One's tech for Entrapta to work with, which leads to them having a trippy heart-to-heart experience in this simulation that bends the rules of reality to show us key moments of them growing up together in the context of them trying and failing to repair their relationship. So Catra gets what she needs, she goes back to the Horde to overthrow Shadow Weaver, while Adora trains as She-Ra and learns about the rewritten history of Mara leading up to a big battle between the Horde and the Rebellion at Bright Moon, where the Rebellion wins via gay rights. Then we get a stretch of episodes that mostly explores the dynamics between the characters, partially for fan service or just to make the characters feel more dimensional. Some of it is plot relevant later, so I'm gonna wait till then to discuss. The main thing to take away from these episodes is that the Rebellion finds out Entrapta is alive and helping the Horde, and Shadow Weaver breaks off from the Horde after falling out with Hordak and manipulating Catra to escape prison in the Horde to be a prisoner for the Rebellion. If she gotta be locked up, she gonna be petty about it. She tells them how Hordak wants to open a portal to bring Hordak Prime to Etheria, and they've been struggling with his Bear Grylls "I made this stranded in the wild" army, so when the real thing comes, the Rebellion is getting wrecked if they don't start stepping up. So the Best Friend Squad, that's what Adora, Bow, and Glimmer call themselves, they go to the Crimson Waste, which is a Borderlands Tatooine-like desert full of crime and attitude, because they track a message left by Mara to there, which for one, Adora's having a bit of a crisis about being She-Ra, because you know, most people would rather not have the weight of the world thrust upon them. So Adora wants to learn more about her destiny, but also this is like a First One's tech arms race, where the Horde wants the tech to open up a portal, and the Rebellion wants it, so the Horde doesn't have it. Anyways, they go to the Crimson Waste and they meet Huntara, who is also big and buff and formerly a Horde soldier, who tries to kill them, and then decides to help them find Mara's ship. Meanwhile, Catra is also in the Crimson Waste, overthrowing the leader of the gang, and taking the gang and his whip as her own. So as Adora has a crisis about her destiny, Catra pulls up like, surprise! Huntara is able to get Bow and Glimmer out of dodge, but Adora is captured and they take her sword to try opening their portal. Also during this time, Scorpia has really caught feelings for Catra. This situation leads to a role reversal from season 1, where now Bow and Glimmer have to get the Princess Alliance together to save Adora from the Fright Zone, with the extra help of Shadow Weaver, because she's like, I'm just trying to throw hands and traumatize my surrogate kids if we're being honest. The problem though is that Entrapta is running tests on this portal before they actually execute the thing, and her data is showing that if they jump right in and activate the portal, then the fabric of time and space is gonna implode. But Catra is using this whole rise to power thing as a coping mechanism to get back at Adora, and she don't care about the fabric of time and space. She don't care if she gotta send Entrapta to be silent and break Scorpia's heart and lie to Hordak and tell him that his lab partner, who he's on the low caught feelings for, went back to the Rebellion. Why is everybody horny on main? It is causing problems. So Catra destroys the fabric of time and space, because why be nice when you can go 8-ish? Which causes this rip in reality to serve as a confrontation between Adora and Catra, where Adora has to realize for herself that Catra has been putting all of this blame for her issues on Adora, and Adora's been carrying that negativity with her and had to realize how toxic that is. Adora had to realize that she's not under any responsibility to carry the grief that Catra has over her own decisions. So Adora had to cut her off. And Queen Angela is in this whole thing, seeing that Adora say that she's going to go into the portal and take her sword out to return things to normal and put herself on the line for their cause with no hesitation. And this is after Queen Angela has watched her daughter always take charge and do things like this, which causes Angela to have a moment of reflection, to realize that as the adult in all of these situations, she has been letting the new generation take on responsibilities that they really shouldn't have to, all because of her own inaction, leading to her taking Adora's place and sacrificing herself to return everything to normal while she's trapped between dimensions. Bad news though, the shockwave from the portal alerts Horde Prime to Epheria's location, and he pulls in "I'll be there 5 minutes" while he's in the bathtub, and he most definitely will not be there in 5 minutes. Which all these events mean that Glimmer becomes queen, and this was difficult for her in the fact that she was taking on all this responsibility with everybody dependent on her, while she also has to cope with the loss of her mother, especially since the last conversation she had with her mother in the realms of reality was a fight where she said some things that I'm sure she regrets. Meanwhile, in the Horde, Catra establishes her dominance and starts running wild with power, even making Hordak take a step back. However, this also starts to impact her mental health as she pushes everyone away and slowly comes to a realization that all the power in the world isn't going to fill the void in her heart left by the loss of her best friend and her rejection of any deep personal relationships, which we see a bit of that desire in her relationship with Double Trouble, who is a shapeshifter that Catra hired to infiltrate the Rebellion and reports back intel. The two of them develop a bit of a relationship, but Double Trouble makes it clear that their closeness is a condition termination of their employment. And that whole deal only works for a while because Double Trouble gets caught and shows zero loyalty to anybody. They are really just an agent of chaos. An important aspect to look at here is the parallel between the two situations on each side. As Catra pushes everyone away, Glimmer is too busy with her responsibilities in Bright Moon to be in the trenches with Bow and Adora, creating distance in those relationships, and she becomes paranoid under stress, even showing a bit of resentment towards Adora, because on some level she does blame her for the fact that she lost her mother. And Adora is starting to get wary of Glimmer spending as much time as she has training with Shadow Weaver, given the fact that Shadow Weaver has always been a toxic influence in Adora's life. So Catra and Glimmer, taking on the head of each opposing side in the world's central conflict, are both being corrupted by their power and having it drive them away from the people that they care about. Something that was foreshadowed in Season 2 in the episode Ties That Bind, where we not only saw how the two characters are foils of one another, but a specific line echoes through the development of both characters when Catra tells Glimmer that it will only be a matter of time before Adora leaves her the way that she left her. Which implies that Adora is cold and prone to leaving people, but is really just highlighting the similar insecurities and personality flaws between the two characters, which will lead to the destruction of their relationships. So while all that is happening, Adora and friends are off trying to learn more about She-Ra, and they discover that Mara wasn't crazy. She was trying to save everyone because her role as She-Ra was to follow Light Hope's instructions to channel the planet's energy into what was essentially a doomsday device. So upon realizing this, she did everything in her power to stop that from happening, and now Adora is in that same position. So Bow and Adora explain this whole deal to everyone, and Shadow Weaver is like, what if we use it as a weapon? And Adora's like, bruh, did I stutter? It don't work that way, we will all die. Then Glimmer is like, nah, you're crazy, Adora, let's use it as a weapon. But it's all good because they need to have all the princesses connected to their runestones in order to make that happen, and Scorpia isn't attached to hers, so it couldn't possibly happen. But also, what's up, Scorpia? She defected because Catra broke her heart and tells everyone that Catra sent Entrapta to be silent. So after arguing about it with Glimmer, Bow and Adora sneak out to go be silent to save Entrapta, and also discover that Glimmer's father, Micah, has been alive the whole time. But while they're doing that, Glimmer has convinced Scorpia into connecting to the Black Garnet runestone. So Glimmer leads the princesses to stage an attack on the Horde after Double Trouble told her that Hordak Prime is pulling up in about 5 minutes, but yo, here's all the info you need to blindside the Horde's forces on Etheria so you can at least take them out. But giving that information, Double Trouble knew that now the rebellion was gonna get the upper hand, so they were like, alright, time to go back to the Horde and make everything implode. So Double Trouble went to Hordak like, yo, that was brilliant how you had Catra send Entrapta to be silent so She-Ra would go and save her. That was a great distraction. No way Catra lied to you this whole time about your beloved Entrapta. And then they just let that play out in the form of a physical fight between Catra and Hordak, which Catra won. And then Double Trouble walked in like, dang, nice job. Now you're the top dog around here. Too bad the rebellion took out all your forces and nobody loves you anymore, so really you've come this far just to be a failure. And then they just leave her there to wallow in self-pity and reflect on what she's done, only to be found by Glimmer, and they have this moment of realization between the two of them that they've worked so hard to achieve this status of power, only to find that the ends didn't actually justify the means. They're both miserable, and that hits the fan. While this is happening, Adora, Bow, Entrapta, and Micah get back to Bright Moon to find Shadow Weaver alone, who tells them what shenanigans are going down, and Adora's like, ruh-roh, I better make sure Light Hope ain't setting up that doomsday weapon with all the princesses connected to their runestones. So she gets there to find Light Hope setting up that doomsday weapon with all the princesses connected to their runestones. But Adora starts arguing with Light Hope, trying to get her to stop because it's heavily implied that whatever purpose this thing served isn't needed in the current global situation. Also, she doesn't want the world to explode. But Light Hope is a robot and struggles to reason beyond her programming, so Adora is really just delaying the inevitable. Light Hope moves the planets back into the populated part of the universe, and Adora is straight fed up with the fact that she didn't have to get pulled through that portal. She could have had a normal life with normal formative experiences and maybe even normal trauma, like Courtney from Geometry spread a rumor that I wet the bed and nobody wanted to be my friend, as opposed to I was manipulated into giving my life to a fascist regime until I was given a sword that made me into a big awesome buff lady to defeat that same fascist regime with the world depending on me, but in reality it was also I could be the key to blowing up the whole planet because some old dead people were paranoid about who knows what. And she's just like, you know what, I'm tired of this sword. So she shatters it with her big She-Ra muscles, ending the cycle. And this is conveniently timed right when Hordak Prime finally pulls through with his giant fleet of imperialism to strike fear into the hearts of Etheria and abduct Hordak, Glimmer, and surprise, Catra's there too. First, Prime blows up on Hordak for becoming too independent and reconditions him for these blasphemous actions. And then he turns to Glimmer and he's like, I respect you, my queen. I just want everyone to chill. And she's like, oh cool, so you'll leave us alone. And he's like, Nah, Hordak took too big of an L on your planet, so I'ma get rid of it. Also, that means I'ma have to kill you. Then Catra pops out like, but wait, our planet is a weapon of mass destruction, and you need her if you want to use it. And Prime is like, well, as a militaristic space fascist, I do love weapons of mass destruction. Alright, y'all can join the crew. So that's where the story leaves off. Adora can no longer transform into She-Ra, and in the midst of the appearance of the greatest threat to Etheria we've seen. The characters have their backs against the wall, and as the show leads into the endgame, the stakes are high. So let us know what you think. Did we miss anything or leave anything out that you think was important? Let us know in the comments below, or you can find us at Roundtable Vids on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or find me at TomEPQM on Tumblr, Twitter, and Instagram, or you can check out my YouTube channel, EPQM Productions. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and if you have yet to do so, consider subscribing to the Roundtable and hitting the bell to never miss a video. To go above and beyond, you can support the Roundtable by clicking the join button to become a channel member, or you can pledge to us on Patreon. Links down below. As always, my name is Tom. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time. See ya!